Good. All right, so we start with roll call. Chair, Harry Meyer.
Here.
Vice Chair, Gary Delvaux.
Here.
Jim Blumrick.
Here.
Alderman Joe Moore.
Present.
Melanie Parma.
Yes.
Matt Schuler.
Here.
And Tom Weber.
Here.
Then also our liaisons, we have Jeff Marcus. I think I saw
Brian's here.
Maria and Brian.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Okay.
Oh, yes.
All right.
For him.
Are we good?
Congratulations.
That's what I slaughtered last week. Okay.
So that's why I brought the cookies, right, with the roll call?
Yes,
Right.
some chewing and your mouth.
Oh yeah, it's saying the Wi-Fi on here is poor, and I thought I saw Mike
was-
Ronick.
He was here, but he was not here.
Of course, right?
Should I go get him?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can just proceed, and I think we'll just have to go back in and,
Sure.
Mike is like our walking hotspot.
Oh, okay.
right, he's probably got one in his pocket.
Probably.
Just-
Are we set?
Oh, we just had a meeting in here last night, Plan Commission, we had no issues, so maybe they did something else today for us.
Wi-Fi off on our phones.
We're just doing a lot of work here today, using a lot of bandwidth.
Yeah, if the Wi-Fi's off on our phones.
Are we ready to move on? Or not?
We'll just have to go back and probably mark
Yeah, it's not
the videos.
jumping into the first chat.
We can just keep track on here. We're in. What time we got? All right, we'll keep moving.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. Moving on to B, approval of the agenda. As for approval of the agenda, one is either mailed out digitally or by US mail. Motion? Carried. Second by
Matt.
Matt. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Approval of the minutes as submitted during the past month by Lisa.
So move.
Motion by
Jim?
Jim.
Second.
Second by Gary. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Under new business, the first item is to elect the chair and vice chairman of the Redevelopment Authority. I expect most of you will recall that last year I said I would not run for re-election after serving here for 100 years, so it's time to move on. When you hit 90, then you sit back a little bit. So I would like to open the meeting and ask for nominations for the position of chair of the RDA.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to nominate Gary Delvaux for chair of the RDA, succeeding you,
All
our
right.
great mentor and leader for, I did a little hundreds of those.
I would second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second then that Gary Delvaux be nominated as a candidate for chair. Do I have another nomination? Do I have another nomination? Do I have another nomination? I'll move that the nominations for chair be closed and an unanimous ballot be cast for Gary as chairman of the RDA. Motion?
So move.
Jim?
Second.
Tom? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Thank you.
There you
I
go.
guess just a couple comments in regard to Harry. He's always been our icon, our hero, great mentor, super leader of the RDA, and obviously going to be a tough act to follow. But Harry, I get all the respect of real for you, and we'll do our best.
Good. That's great.
So nominations are now open for vice chair. Any nominations?
Mr. Chair, I would nominate Matt.
I second that.
There's been a nomination, and a second for Matt as our vice chair. Any other nominations?
Second, who seconded that?
Oh, Jody? Okay.
Any other nominations? Any other nominations? If not, we'll close the nominations. All those in favor of Matt as our vice chair, sing by saying aye.
Aye.
Matt, you're it? Aye. Yeah.
Real challenge, Mel, let me tell you.
What's that?
Real challenge.
Well, I don't know if I'll ever get your level of experience, Harry.
As far as the subcommittees, I think we're gonna handle that at the next meeting. You know, we got some new folks coming on. Jim's gonna be making a nomination from the council. So, but in that regard, please, anybody that's got any thoughts, we look at this list here, any thoughts, I wish I was this instead of that, please let me know, or Kevin, or Cheryl. But we'll meet, the three of us, somewhere along the line, and we'll work through that. And then we'll come back with a new recommendation at our next meeting as far as who the subcommittee members are. And even then, we can make some changes, but please get back to one of us if you got some thoughts as far as these
Do we
subcommittees.
need to table it? Or just-
I'll make a motion, well, okay.
Yeah, I can make a motion to table the selection of members for the subcommittees until our subsequent meeting.
Oh, second.
We have a motion and a second to table the subcommittee membership until next meeting. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so carried. The next thing on our agenda,
Mr. Chairman, I just want to say, I can only stay for the Milwaukee View thing, but there's going to be a couple new appointments. Did you
Yes.
announce that you're stepping aside?
Yes, I think everybody knows that.
Okay, and so if you could just wait until I replace both him and the alderman.
Well, that should be easy.
so it may be a while? Is it-
No.
Okay.
Friday,
Okay, oh yeah, right.
I'll call you with
Right.
whom I'm recommending. It's got to be
Okay.
approved by the council on Tuesday.
In that regard, I guess I want to make one other comment. We really are losing some excellent expertise in Tom and Joe. They've always had great comments, great questions, and it's be a tough act to follow. They're some good guys. You know, Tom, 14 years, your banking, your real estate experience was invaluable. Joe, your connection to the council was invaluable. A lot of times when things were heated, he helped carry things through for us. So anyway, bottom line, we're gonna miss the both of you immensely. So Jimmy, you're gonna have a tough act to follow as far as coming up with good members, but I'm sure you will. Thank you. Number 3, consideration of possible action on development agreement 18-01-A with Whitney School Development LLC for Whitney School Apartments at 215 North Webster Avenue. Kevin?
Thanks. So the next items, both number 3 and number 4 are related, tied together as part of the same development project. However, we are taking them through as 2 separate development agreements. And the developer can explain a little bit some of the reasoning behind that in terms of the financing partners and the way this deal is structured. They wanted to kind of keep those entities separate, both for now in terms of the construction phase, but then also long-term, you know, what's the outcome for each of them. So the first agreement, we're going to be looking at the school itself. And so this is Whitney School Apartments at 215 North Webster Avenue. And in short, we have a developer, Whitney School Development LLC, which is a subsidiary of Milwaukee View, who we've been working with on this project. It's going to do a complete renovation, historic renovation of the Whitney School, and turning it into 23 market rate apartments. Mix of 1 and 2 bedrooms, you know, a lot of great amenities that really bring you know, a good product to a neighborhood in an area just outside of downtown that doesn't have it yet. In terms of some of our, you know, overall community economic development objectives, this meets them. You know, in terms of, you know, rehabbing historic structures, you know, building new structures up to date with latest code. This is being built in a very, you know, walkable, bikeable area. People who live here, you know, can work downtown, recreate downtown, and also on Main Street. In terms of interconnected, I mean, it preserves this building and fits in with the neighborhood, and really, you know, preserves a school that, you know, has a lot of meaning to a lot of people in the community. I mean, it's been a landmark, and it's been interesting to hear, you know, some stories about you know, people who have either attended that school or one reason or another been inside that school. So, you know, from a community perspective, it's an asset that we appreciate them stepping up to save. With that, the developer is here. They do have a presentation that, you know, talks about this project and actually both projects. And so, in terms of if you'd like to be able to hear from them just a little bit about what they're doing, then we can get into some of the nuts and bolts about the development agreement and the incentive that's being proposed today.
Entertain a motion to open the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Tom and Matt, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So moved. Meeting is open.
So, you'd like to do a presentation? I'll load the one that you sent to me up.
Use the podium.
Yeah.
Well, you guys might remember us from Milwaukee News, so Lindsay's here and I'm under Trastogi. And I have a little bit of a cold today, so just bear with me a little bit. But essentially, I wanted to take you through the renderings of the project. And compared to when we were last year, probably back in spring of 2017, the project has changed a little bit in terms of probably being much better for the community to lower the density and add back in a lot of green space. So I'd like to just walk through that. But at the end of the day, this is very consistent with what we've shown you in the past probably 2 years since we've been talking about development and Green Bay.
It's not.
It's just a PDF.
It's just a PDF?
Yep.
Okay, is it up there?
So can I still click through it?
No, you just point to me
Okay.
and
I apologize. In addition to the new management system, we're also doing remodeling on the 6th floor, so we're out of our normal meeting
Oh,
space.
okay.
So we're all out of our habitat today, so
Okay, no,
we're gonna make
worries.
adjustments for the few months
I'll
here.
just say next.
Yes.
Just beat
Yes.
the Cheetos.
If you could just close that arrow. Okay, so at the end of the day, the site is pretty much still the same. So this is 215 North Webster with that entire parcel, which is about 2 acres. What we've done here compared to what you saw in spring of 2017, in spring of 2017, there were houses going along this way as well as next to the school. Due to historic regulation, we can't put houses or townhomes next to the school because it would take away from the more prominent historic structure. So we've had to reduce that size. And then between going through with the development arm, of Green Bay and us internally, we did not want to add a greater density within the parcel. It would really limit the amenities of the site to the townhome owners. So really, at the end of the day, what we have is the historic structure being renovated into 23 apartments, about 50-50 between 2 bedrooms and 1 bedrooms. And then we have 12 townhomes going on the outside along North Van Buren and Pine Street. And then this green space in the middle would be available to the town homeowners as well as, of course, the historic school. So here you go, you can kind of see what the overall site looks like. We've tried to keep a lot of green space here so that it's a big amenity for these townhome owners. And then in terms of this is just more of a rendering or site plan to show you what is within the historic school. Again, 2 bedrooms and 1 bedrooms within the envelope of the classrooms, all pretty, high-end units in terms of in-unit washer and dryer, hardwood floors. Keeping the terrazzo floors that are of the existing structure and a lot of the key features such as the marble fountains inside of the school. You can keep going. And then we also have a gymnasium here, and one thing I forgot to point out, on the first floor, we're going to have a large lounge area, which will include a kitchen, a fireplace, and then that opens up into the green space. So these are renderings of what the loft would look inside. There's a lot of detail here. Of course, the hardwood floors. All these units have windows facing the outside, so they're keeping to the historical windows that are at the property, but we're going to be replacing them, re-renovating them. And then very modern, open concept feel, island countertop, or islands with solid countertops. And then also a lot of architectural features such as additional trim that kind of brings you back to what the school used to have. And then also along the corridors of these old hallways, we're going to have windows in these hallways that are more of an architectural and aesthetic appeal to what used to exist there. This is the lounge area. It's going to be available to the apartments, and then we're also looking at possibly making them available to the town home as an amenity. Again, it's just another area for people within the building to gather with probably a pool table, kitchen, fireplace, and what I mentioned before. So right now, in the outside area, we have a decking system, and looking at putting a fireplace with lots of trees there. You know, right now, it's just a vacant parking lot, so this would be a great improvement, and it's just a wonderful amenity. Kind of moving on, I wanted to focus a little bit on the townhomes. So they come in groups of 3. These groups of 3s, it's 3 townhomes that these will be for sale, and they're going to be the middle one is 2-bedroom, 2.5 bath, half basement, and the 2 on the outside are going to be 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath with a half basement and 2-car garage. So they all have garages and upwards of 2 bedrooms and upwards of 2 baths. This is kind of a rendering of the inside. Again, open concept, and they also will have balconies out the front. And in terms of the finishes for the outside, we're going to add a lot of aesthetic with regards to the roof. That'll be a flat roof, a little bit modern, and we had to bring these townhomes to more of a contrasting view from the historic structure because of National Park Service again. We couldn't have it just blend in with the neighborhood. It has to contrast against the historic structure. So yeah, it'll be the kind of contemporary roof. It's a standing seam roof, and then some aesthetics over here, nice railing, and then there's also going to be some metal features on the outside, corrugated structure. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's only 10. Is there another?
No, I think that's it. We just wanted everybody to get a feel for what the product looks like. And essentially, as Kevin said before, we've separated out into 2 different development agreements. The reason for that is because the historic project has its own financing terms with National Park Service and 221G4 loan with HUD. And so if there's additional comments to be had on that development agreement, we don't want it to impede the townhomes from, moving at their own pace. So that's why we've separated out the agreements. But at the end of the day, in terms of the economics, they're consistent with what we presented earlier. Just broken them down and pro rata share.
I might have missed it, but you can tell us a little bit about the parking. You mentioned that you're gonna, the one parking lot, you're gonna make into a park or whatever.
Yeah.
So how's the rest of the parking?
Yeah, if you could go back to the second slide, that has the, yeah, that's perfect. So all of these townhomes will have their own garages.
Okay.
And then in terms of enough sufficient parking for the apartments, altogether between this parking lot and this, there's 40 spots.
Oh.
That's 23 units, so,
Sure.
We'll be around 2 spots per apartment.
Wow, excellent.
Yep.
How old is the building?
It's 101 years old. It was, I
Yeah, right.
think by the time it was.
I was there for the groundbreaking.
That's a good milestone. So I know that when the original building burned down and when they rebuilt it, I think it was 1917. And I believe that's where we have pictures of Curly Lambeau, but don't quote me, I can't remember if it's exactly in this building or the one that burned down. I think it's this one though.
Can you tell us a little bit about your market analysis, the demand for this product?
For the apartments?
Yeah, both, actually.
I would say with regards to historic renovated structures, there aren't many in Green Bay,
Okay.
if any, and done to this level. And a lot of the development that's occurred in Green Bay has been on the river. So that's also kind of, there's no real product serving this area, meaning the Whitney Park area or the Navarino neighborhood. So outside of what's been developed on the river, there aren't a lot of, there isn't enough supply for the outside. And where we're bringing this product into market, it's a bit less than, where the river product has come in. Hence why the financing is being structured the way it is, to be able to do that. These are still market rate projects though.
Do you have an idea of what the rates are going to be at this point in time for the 3 and the purchase price on the townhouses and then the rents on the apartments?
So I would say, I'd like to refer back to what we had given Kevin.
Okay.
But I know it ranges from $800 to $1,600 a month. And again, don't quote me, but it's between there. And then for the townhomes, it's between 230, 250.
What's the square footage again on the units, on the townhome units?
The townhome units, I believe it's 1,400.
1,400? Okay.
And then the apartments range anywhere from 600 to about 1,100. And I would say they're more trending on, the average unit's about 850, when you kind of average all the 2 bedrooms and 1 bedroom, so.
I have a quick question for Jeff. Jeff, you over there at the end?
Yep.
You always do this analysis of demand versus availability. Where are we at with apartments and condos?
I think one of the strong indicators over the past few years is how the market has responded to the new product coming online. In this particular neighborhood, the 10 townhomes that Garrett Bader developed in 3 phases, it was very nice to see. All 10 of those units have been acquired. In terms of apartment availability in this district, it's been limited. So this is new product coming on, and it sure appears to be welcome. In some of our initial promotion, the sign-up sheets, those indicators of people who are interested in what's out there, there's early indications that there's ongoing demand for what's being presented.
I think the other thing is it's a 23-unit project. It's quite boutique in that sense, so that really attracts people as well, where you actually know your neighbor in a 23-unit building, and then within the surrounding kind of community that's being created as well. So it's a very micro-community sort of feel in the grander Whitney School neighborhood, or Whitney Park neighborhood.
How many units did you lose without being able to develop those house lots on south side?
I need to jog my memory, but I think over here, we had 3 townhomes, and we would have tried to fit more over here, but then we would have taken away from this green space, which just
The
takes
original
away.
proposal had 17 units,
I
17
believe-
townhomes.
So you lost 5.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I would say we were,
Well, thanks for continuing on.
yeah. It's been just persistence has been needed to keep going on this.
When would you expect to start construction?
We're looking at fall of this
And
year.
completion by?
For the townhomes, I think it's going to be phased, but with regards to the Whitney apartments, that would be a fall start and a completion probably by late spring, early summer of next year.
Okay.
Any other questions? Hello from the audience, any questions? If not, I entertain a motion to go back to
I'm gonna return regular to business.
the motion.
Thank you.
Jim, Harry and Jim. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are back to regular business.
All right, so as far as what's before you today, the development agreement, talking about the numbers for the apartments, and this is one of the things we'll have to massage a little bit. There's a handful of parcels, maybe 6 or 7 there right now. In essence, if this moves forward, the developer would like to create basically 2 parcels, one for the Whitney School apartments and then another for the townhomes, which the townhomes will go through, will be sold as condo units, not fee simple. And kind of explore different options, but I think tying back into the courtyard and having some of those things is what they'd like to do. So for this, we are looking at just one tax parcel, which is 215 North Webster. So today, that school is worth about $642,000. After this project is complete, we believe it will assess somewhere between $2.5 and $2.6 million when all is said and done, and then you can kind of see the new taxes that will be generated for this project. As far as the cap goes for this and then why the request is before you today, I think a few things. One, in terms of the historic nature of it, I mean, there's a higher degree of detail that's required in order to, get the historic tax credits, but then also that adds on to the construction costs of moving things. I think the gap in terms of, again, you're always looking to build out as full as possible, but in this case, in order to keep the historic part of it, you can't build those extra 5 townhomes to, build in some additional, revenue sources to help support that. And then I think that we, also look at, the gap between what we call market rents here and construction costs. market rents generally, I mean, in this city are lower than they are, and construction costs, though, aren't to the same degree lower as they would be, compared to like Madison, Milwaukee, or another city. In fact, I mean, they hold steady, if not, they're a little bit more, just because of, well, a few things. One, just labor is tight for construction, people are busy, and also just, I mean, I think you've seen this the last year, I mean, after 2 hurricanes and some other things, construction prices overall have just gone up, and so the time, that we've been working on this, and they've been working on it, I mean, every iteration, I mean, I think they've been good about trying to keep costs in check. But then also, what we feel is important, back to the other side, and we'll talk a little bit more of the townhomes, is it's coming in though with a product that's like not out of our market, that it's available, it's reachable, and it fits a price point that we're looking here. So the initial, when we talked about this, a term sheet a year ago, we had looked at an 80% pay-go, and that was looking at TID 6, which would have been more or less like 10 years, 11 years, depending when the first increments came online to pay back. We would still like to look at that 80% pay-go, but in this case, we would like to create a new TID in this area. So I think we have this project, we have a planning option with Mr. Bader, GB Real Estate for 901 Main Street. We're also looking at the city or RDA, you own a few properties on Pine Street. So there's, momentum going in terms of some other projects that would, really look to capitalize from a new TID in this area. And I think kind of seeing what comes through the pipeline in the next few weeks will help us determine, what boundaries we would recommend for doing so. With that, in terms of the gap, it's about $1.5 million. So what we did is basically split that between the two properties and put an $800,000 cap on each of the projects. So if this assesses out higher and it comes back sooner, then it'll draw out longer, and sooner. Just based on some preliminary numbers, if it does come in at 2.5 for the apartment project, the payback period will probably be about 20 years. So it's more than the initial, but again, we're kind of using our more conservative assumptions about that payback. With that, it is pay-go, so I mean, it's dependent on them to create the project and do the project. It also does create a pool of funds that can go into that TID to help with, amenities, lighting, landscaping, other things that we've, talked about doing in that neighborhood, but now could do on a little bit bigger scale. So with that, I think, it's a good project. We've talked with Old Main Street about it. I think we're pretty excited about it, and I don't know if Mayor, you want to say anything else? I mean, you've been involved in this for a year or two.
Yeah, I like the project, but I love the developers, and these are good people, and they've worked hard, they've done some great projects down in Milwaukee. They're up here a lot, they understand Green Bay, it's market rate, it's unique, and they really know what they're doing. And I support them and the project.
We obviously could go into closed session. I'm not sure it's necessary, but if you wish, I don't think, well, it's up to the wishes of the committee, but I don't feel it's necessary, but it's up to the wishes of the committee. Do you think we need to go in closed session?
So, question on Garrett's project, the intent would be that would be included within the TIF district as well?
If he moves forward with the project and if you would make a request, we would put it in. And I think, we've talked about this, about right-sizing the TIDs is, number one, it doesn't pay to create a TID unless we have a project coming down the line.
Yeah.
And then if we do, are there other projects that would fit with this in terms of kind of maximizing the impact of that TID? So if he would move forward with the project and make a request, I think we would include that. There's also other properties, and we've internally had a discussion about, the warehouses on the river, the Greyhound bus station, and then you go further south to Walnut Street, and there's some additional properties in there. How far, how wide do you draw it? I think we just need to look at what might be in the queue and what might be realistic in the next few years before doing that. I just don't see us, doing a huge wide TIF from like Monroe all the way down to Baird. It just, those haven't worked in the past, and I'd like to be more strategic about what we propose for this. So depending on what projects come forth, that'll determine the size of that tax increment district.
Yeah, so whether or not Garrett's project goes forward doesn't impact this project?
Nope.
When do you have to make the boundary?
So we'll do, like we've done the past few years, generally, try and run everything through the summer, so that JRB can meet once and then go through and
Okay.
basically any changes, additions, deletions. And I think, Finance Director Alan Becker and I have been talking again, I mean, there are other cases where, based on projections, it would behoove us to shut them down early. I know TID 12, we've had that talk about, now that the Nature's Way project is moving forward, once construction costs are completed, we'd like to propose those all as one chunk so we can make those decisions, kind of in unison, but that would be done this summer. And it would be effective 1/1 of 18. That would be the time that we'd want to do it to get the maximum increment out of this.
Okay.
So what you're saying is this all hinges on Nature's Way?
No, it does not. No, it does not. No, there's nothing.
Just clarifying.
Nothing tied together, so, no.
I really like this page, you go tips. Those are excellent.
Hey, Gary.
Yes.
I've got just a question about the townhomes. We've got construction, like build costs on these of $170 to $180 a square foot. Or we've got $500,000 homes out in Ledgeview that have a build price of like $155, $160. And I'm wondering, obviously the TIF is going to offset some of this for the sales, but now we have an average sale price on townhomes of $220,000. I could see that if it was maybe condo living downtown, townhome,
They're gonna be condos.
near downtown townhomes, at 220,000 to 230 to 250,000. Where did our assessor get comps to estimate a 2.65, 2.64 value on these?
I'm sorry.
And there's just nothing
Yeah.
comparable around other than Gators, and all of his sold for under 200.
Right. So, two things. One, the separating the project. So he got the 2.5 for the apartments. The 2.6 came from averaging these, starting at 220. And that is ultimately the price of these depends on, the assessment depends on ultimately the sales price. And so in the projections, we estimated, because they're gonna do these as blocks, that 3 get built a year over the next 4 years, and that they sell at 220. And I think in terms of the timing, if it goes on the market and doesn't sell for a whole year, then it may get assessed at a little bit of a lower value that it's, because it's just more the cost of construction. But in terms of, I think, what they've talked about is kind of the phasing approach of, look, I'm gonna build the first 3 units and kind of see where those go. And then if I need to make some tweaks moving forward, I can. But again, if they don't build the extra units or build the additional units, then there's no incentive, tied to that. So I think that's the difficult part about, residential, and when it's a direct sale, is that you lose a little control over the ultimate value, because it becomes sales price. But I think they acknowledge that, and they also acknowledge as part of the pay-go, it's up to the property owner and whatever agreements they do, through their condo association, that new owner needs to pay the taxes if they're going to get that incentive.
Okay.
To the bottom line, our involvement depends a lot on how their sales go, because it's a pay-go.
Correct, and in terms of that, projection, if they only would build 3 units and that's it, and they sell at the 220, our involvement will only be 80% of the increment on those. Which again, because there's a land value, they really need to work on building out all of it really to kind of get above that incremental value that's there right now. But I think that's one of the things too, when it comes to, some of the residential products, it's helpful to do the pay-go, because
Yes.
I know this is something we discussed with the barracks, when you go up front, you don't have control over the sales price on the back end. There's a lot more risk
Yes.
involved.
Absolutely.
So are they townhomes or condos?
Well, they're condos.
Everything says townhomes here
So,
in the paperwork, but now you're saying
Okay.
condo association.
so they're built as a townhome
Design.
product, but they will be sold in terms of a legal description as a condo.
So they're all maintained, sidewalks, shovel, lawns, mowed, everything's taken care of.
That is my understanding.
That's
They're
correct.
not gonna be sold. The difference between these and Mr. Bader's is his are fee simple townhomes. You buy,
Right,
You mow
You know.
your- you mow your-
right, and does any of that language need to show that in this development agreement, that these are actually condominiums? I mean, it's actually called the Whitney School Townhomes.
I think if, acceptable to the developer, if we added some clarifying language that, we talk about like a condo association will be created and these will be sold as condominium units, just to maybe specify that in there. I think we can make that adjustment, probably to just see in the recitals that defines it a little bit more about what these actually are.
Well, and the understanding of the maintenance that goes along with these, I think that's important.
Well, Joe, also, I think it's important to do that with respect to the real estate taxes.
Right.
Because the association can't assume the other lots if they're not being developed. And so the developer has to be responsible to the developer point for real estate taxes.
Correct.
I like the project, I'd love to see it happen.
I'll entertain a motion.
So,
Oh, sorry.
just so we can walk through slowly, the proper thing to do would probably be for first to do, and if we can do a motion, just when somebody does a motion, if you can just repeat who made the motion, so Lisa
Right,
can break
right,
it down.
right.
But probably if you would like to, would you call that technical, or would you want a formal motion to add that language in here?
We're already here, we might as well do it.
Okay,
That's just the thing,
so if someone wants to make a motion on Alder Moore's comment to add some of that descriptive language,
I would make that motion
And
that
I'd
we
recommend
add,
adding it to recital C.
okay.
I'll second.
All right, so more motion,
Weber, second.
This is on number 3, so.
so, yep. So on number 3, to add to C some definition that these will be condominium units and define ownership and maintenance responsibilities in the recitals.
Yeah, townhomes are 4. So.
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
good call.
Yeah,
I
Thanks.
think we didn't take these together.
Right.
Thanks. So no change on number 3 then, so you can make a motion as you desire on that.
Motion to approve.
Yeah, I like the wording, the actual recommendation, I'd like to hear that wording, because it talks about subject to minor legal and technical changes, so Tom, could you read the recommendation, please? Number 3.
Where the recommendation is. Okay, to approve, my motion is to approve the development agreement 1801-A with Whitney School Development LLC for Whitney School Apartments at 215 North Webster Avenue, tax parcel 9-112, subject to minor legal and technical changes.
So I'll second that.
Okay,
Schuler second.
Schuler, second.
So weird.
We got Tom and Matt, first and second. All those in favor, sing by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so carried. Number 4. Now,
Okay, one
we're-
second, are we caught up here, you guys?
Give us the green light.
Sure.
Yeah, we should probably get one of those little
Yeah,
things
little
here with
bars
red,
here,
yellow.
Red,
and-
yellow, and green.
It'll slow down once they have their pads.
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
wants to wait for you right now?
I won't.
Okay?
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, item number 4, consideration of possible action, development agreement 18-01-B with MK View LLC for Whitney School Townhouse at 916 Pine Street, 908 Pine Street, 902 Pine Street, 218 North Van Buren, and 214 North Van Buren Street, tax parcels 9-113, 114, 115A, 115, and 116-2.
I would make a motion to approve that with the amendments that were discussed regarding definitions.
I'll second that. Limerick.
Joe and Jim. Motion and second on number 4. Any questions or comments? Your motion and second?
Did you want that read as well?
It should be read, actually, if you took with Jim.
Amend your motion.
Joe, could you read it, please? No mind.
The recommendation.
That would be,
Recommendation, okay, to approve the development agreement 18-01-B with MK View LLC for Whitney School Townhomes 916 Pine Street, 908 Pine Street, 902 Pine Street, 218 North Van Buren, and 214 North Van Buren Streets, and the tax parcel numbers associated with those addresses, subject to minor legal and technical changes, and adding the descriptive language regarding common homes.
And Matt had a second, right?
No, Jim.
Jim, I'm sorry, Jim had a second.
You know,
Okay, Joe and Jim, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so carried. Thank you.
This will go
That's it.
to city council next week, 17th.
Okay. Number 5, consideration and possible action to rescind initial offer to award 1130 Stewart Street to Good Faith Framing and Remodeling and award it to Mitch's Hometown LLC according to updated grading. Who's got that?
All right, that'd be me.
Yeah.
Down here,
how you
opposite side of
doing?
the table this time. This is odd for me, so. So, as you recall, last RDA meeting, we had approved executing a development agreement with Good Faith Framing and Remodeling. As I was putting the documents together and pulling the information for closing, it came up that the gentleman I was working with, who had presented himself as Derek Allen, was actually Derek Anderson, who the city has had multiple issues with on other properties. So with these multiple citations that came up, we went back to regrade the proposals and are recommending that we go with Mitch's Hometown LLC. Their proposal, essentially the same. We're rehabbing the property back to a single-family, owner-occupied. The only difference here, they're asking that the property be deeded to them at no cost, but still a similar time frame to get the property back on the tax rolls.
What were we getting for the property?
$5,000.
5,000.
Yes. And actually, Mitch Rowland, the owner of Mitch's Hometown LLC, is here if you have any questions on his proposal.
So he's real.
I was just gonna say.
Yes.
is
Yeah, he's
that your
real.
real
We've checked
name?
with the inspectors.
I don't,
Yeah.
Have we worked with them before?
We have not, no, this would be the first time working with them. But the proposal looks solid, and no issues with our inspection team, nothing on CCAP.
timing and everything.
Timing is, yeah.
So the only difference is the $5,000.
The only difference really is the $5,000, correct? Otherwise, we get the same product.
I would make a motion to rescind the initial offer with Good Faith Framing and Remodeling and execute a development agreement with Mitch's Hometown LLC for the rehabilitation and sale of 1130 Stewart Street, parcel 14-997.
Can we actually take those as two separate items? The first would be the rescission, and then the second would be the award.
It's fine with me. Do I have to reread it?
No, just.
Just say striking the second half and you're good.
Second.
Got that?
Okay, so in regard to the rescinding, Jim and Harry, first and a second, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay, now, we need another motion to do the project with Mitch's Hometown LLC.
Yep, I'll make that motion again.
I'll second it also.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to execute this development agreement with Mitch's Hometown LLC. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Number 6.
Vote on separation.
Consideration of possible action to execute a development agreement with Growth Process LLC,
Yeah.
DBA Redefined Homes for 871 West Mason Street, parcel 2-450. Ken again?
That is me again,
All
yes.
right, Ken.
All right, so our property at 871 West Mason, which we purchased in the fall of 2016. Our purpose of purchasing that originally to convert it back to a single family and sale to owner occupant. We so far have received one proposal on this from Growth Process LLC. I actually met the developers at the Brown County Home Expo when we had our booth there, so that actually worked out for us, so.
Paid for itself.
Yeah, paid for itself, so. The developers, they're very passionate about home rehabs. They've been doing rehab since 1978. Kind of fun thing, when we were walking through the property, they had talked about naming the house because it adds, it gives the house a little bit more life. So just, they have a real passion for it. Their proposal, pretty, sound.
Did you offer up your name for the name?
Yes. Yeah. Ken's house, yeah.
Is it hometown Mason or Kent?
10th, actually, yes. So there is a driveway that has been removed on Mason, so the only access is on 10th now. They will be adding a 2-stall garage to the property, as well as fencing it in to create that kind of a safer yard for anyone with the family.
It's a nice looking house.
It is a nice looking house, yeah. The inside has been chopped up over the years, so it took a little bit of creativity, and I think that's, kind of what scared some people away, but they have the vision here, growth process, very good. They actually are here today as well, if you wanted to talk to them about it.
The address still stays 871 West Mason, the address itself?
I guess I'm not sure on that, if
Okay.
we would change that or not.
Definitely still parcel 2-450.
Yeah, that is a parcel. So the other, you can see on the map here, there were 2 other parcels behind it that we had acquired, that now we've joined with this, so it kind of rounds out that corner. As part of their proposal, they are requesting that the RDA does pay for the removal of asbestos containing materials from the property. There is slate asbestos siding on this, and as well as an octopus furnace in the basement. I don't know if that's a technical term or not,
That's
but.
big pipes coming up.
Yeah, it's the first time I've seen anything like that.
How big of a deal, how big of a deal is that, Ken?
You're looking at probably $5,000 to $8,000 to remove all the asbestos from the property.
Is there gonna be any structural change in the exterior framing of the
On the exterior?
Yeah.
The only thing is, there's
bump outs or?
There's a small 1-stall garage attached to it right now, that'll be coming off, to then make room for a driveway for the,
But it's a slate asbestos exterior, you said? But that doesn't look like it.
No, it doesn't.
is.
No.
It is.
That is? But you can, if we're not changing the exterior walls at all, you can just vinyl or aluminum over that, and that's remediation. Save the mitigation cost, I believe.
Mhm. yeah.
You might just want to
Something
look
to
at
look
that
at,
and see.
maybe explore that option.
It'll certainly save some cost of us paying for mitigation, which it doesn't really, always was that asbestos if you cover it. you're fine.
I think, Tom, with the conversion, because it was converted to a 2-unit, there were some issues in the back with the steps that when they get into the remodeling part, depending on how they have a window that's been boarded up. You can't see it in the picture here, but there might be
So
some
they're
issues
gonna
as far
be-
as some, it's not really structural changes, but with how the steps are tied in and what they've done in the past, it might.
But you could look at, just do the mitigation on that part, that wall of the exterior or whatever.
Okay.
It's just something to look at, because if I understand correctly, you can mitigate asbestos siding by simply siding over it. You don't have to remove it. Actually, the same thing with the asbestos interior, the taping, but I don't suggest that, but
Yeah.
it's a possibility we could
I
say
don't know,
that.
I guess my reaction would be for $5,000 to $8,000, if we've got the opportunity to abate it, but rather than encapsulate it in other siding, just because going forward appears to be the right things to do. My thought.
We have to do it anyways when we take the properties and we demo them. since-
You do?
Yeah.
If we were to demolish
If we
this.
were to
we'd
demolish
have
this
to
and
go
start
back.
over, we'd have to do the exact same thing, so.
Okay. Well, my last chance to save you some money.
What with a bang?
Any other questions or comments? I will entertain a motion on number 6.
So moved.
We have a motion?
Second?
Okay, Harry and Tom? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Ken. Nice job. Number 7, consideration and possible action to execute a 60-day planning option with Give a Damn Ventures, LLC.
It's Dutch.
Love it.
LLC for 1915 Farrell Street, parcel 21-2165.
All right. that's me
Ken,
again here.
hey,
Yes.
you're a busy young man.
Yes, yeah. All right, so Givendam Ventures LLC, they're looking for a 60-day planning option. They're looking at doing a 5-bedroom, 2-bath Cape Cod style home on one of our lots here. This is the house that we tore down.
I was gonna say, good, I thought we remodeled 5 bedrooms.
Yes, 2 of the bedrooms will be in the basement actually, so with, legally in the basement. They're looking at doing this as a student rental with an initiative of getting students more active in the Green Bay community, getting them off of the UWGB campus and out into our neighborhoods as a way of hopefully retaining these graduates, upon graduation. So they're also looking at doing this with a near net zero energy impact. So there will be solar panels and other eco-conscious
Building
building materials. And actually, Marissa is here if you want to talk to her about.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
We can open up, you like to.
I have no specific questions for that, I'm just checking if anybody else does.
So one thing with this, we're just looking at a planning option. We had discussed possible funding with New Homes in Your Neighborhood. And right now, they're looking at an estimated investment of up to $200,000 in the property that they will, be keeping in their portfolio as a rental. So that's one of the things that we want to talk about in the next 60 days, figuring out what that grant would be, what that would look like, how we'd structure it. So it's not your typical New Homes in Your Neighborhood where we are typically using that for, owner occupancy.
To transition to owner
Right.
occupancy,
But I do think it's a really great program, getting the UWGB involved. It'll be exclusively for UWGB students.
Maybe we could, I would like to make a motion to open
Yeah,
for interested
excellent.
parties and hear from her and then find out, because as an investor instead of
Okay.
the transition. I make the motion to suspend the rules for interested parties.
And Melanie second, so motion by Tom and Melanie to open the meeting to public input. All those in favor, say by saying aye.
Aye.
We have meeting open, closed. None. Come on
Would
in.
you like me to move up to the podium?
Sure.
Yeah, please.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about it.
You need to state your name
Gary,
and
we
address
need
for the
to,
record.
you
Perfect.
gotta make sure we get a name and.
Okay, well, my name's Marissa Mikulkevich. You said
Okay,
address.
hold on, you're gonna have to spell
Oh,
that.
okay. Prepare yourself. It's Michalkiewicz. Very Polish.
That's
And then
not
you said
Dutch.
address too. Yeah, not Dutch. I think more dams need to be given. That's the name. But I didn't want profanity in it, so I changed the letter, which actually was convenient because in some languages, dam means women. So it was very fitting for a woman-owned business.
Excellent, well, very good.
Thanks.
Explanation is always good.
It was accidental, but we tried.
Tell us
So
about-
what would you like to hear?
Well, my concern is, as an investor, you're gonna continue to hold this for investment. A little bit out of our normal, I guess, protocol, what we're trying to do with transitioning the property.
Sure.
Do you have experience with rental properties?
I don't, well, I own a home 2 blocks away from Green Bay Preble, so technically I have experience, but I live with my tenants. This property will be built, I work for Verge Temmie. She lives in Sturgeon Bay, so she specializes in near net zero energy homes. Don't have experience with the rental side, but already have a lot of students interested. I started our student section at UW Green Bay. I played softball there, I'm with the Alumni Association, so plenty of interest already.
Your long-range intent with the real estate, to hold or to develop and sell, or?
I don't plan on selling them. I'd rather keep them and build that connection with Green Bay, keep the students in the community. It's kind of a hard task finding housing off of campus, but 7,000 students go to the school. It can only house 2,000, so the rest are commuters. I lived off campus my junior and senior year, which was hard to find. I put a naive trust in Craigslist. Thankfully, it worked out in my favor. But just trying to keep the students here. It's a great place to go to school, great place to live, but unfortunately, students don't stay long enough.
So do you rent something like this, a 5-bedroom unit by the bedroom?
Pardon?
You rent that by the bedroom?
Yes. Yep, and then the layout would be 2 bedrooms upstairs, 2 bedrooms on the main floor, and 1 in the basement. So I think he said 2, but just 1.
Yeah, right.
No, that's okay.
You said that again, 2 bedrooms?
On the main floor, 2 on the upper floor, and 1 on the lower level.
I keep looking at that, and then when you say
No,
the upper floor.
ignore that.
Yeah,
That's not what it'll
I know
look like.
it's
It'll be very similar to the houses in that area already.
Oh, okay.
Traditional Cape
Yeah, I
Cod,
was
yeah,
gonna say,
that's
in your packet, there's a little
yeah,
plan.
super preliminary drawings,
Yeah.
but really simple design. Like you said, it will be near net zero energy. The intention of this is to keep it as low rental fees as possible. College students don't have a lot of money to work with.
Yeah.
So just keeping everything simple, maintainable, being a little creative with our sourcing. So the goal is to keep energy costs.
Yeah, I've heard that the lady in Door County.
Have you? Yeah, she's a wonderful woman, a lot of expertise in environmental design, but yeah, kind of tying it in with student council.
And you feel it's a good location?
I definitely do. It's the closest I could get with this program to campus.
Okay.
I do want to get closer in the future, but for now, right north of the university is a good spot. They're redeveloping that area, so the whole bikeable, walkable element to student life is pretty applicable.
So what do you plan to rent the units for?
It depends, once we go further with this process, but my intention would be to keep it between 200 and 350. Depends how construction costs go and how creative we can be with sourcing, but that will be
Per month, per bedroom?
per month, yes. And that'll be determined, so that's the goal. We'll see how that goes.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's cheaper.
Yeah, that's, my concern with the lack of experience, and I'm for the project, but
Oh, that's fine.
is the, being a landlord with 5 college students.
Mhm.
I'm glad you're not an absentee, total absentee.
Right.
But that's gonna be a whole new learning curve and
Yes, it will
road
be.
for you, because they're not as interested in the
Correct.
ulterior motives as you are.
Yeah,
But you're confident in your,
yeah, it helps when, I mean, I only graduated in May of 2016, so these renters that are interested in it are actually still kind of my friends, which is nice. But I still have good connections with those who are actively involved with UW Green Bay, which would be the intention of these homes. Keep the students who are actively involved with the campus to live off and kind of bridge the gap.
So you can cash flow at 300?
We'll see. We'll see how construction costs go, but it's super early. Just had to see how this meeting went before that, but that's the goal.
you're good at swinging a hammer and everything to cut those
I
costs
do,
down.
if you can tell by my boots, I
Okay.
definitely am a on the job site kind of gal, so it helps.
Ken, the end result, what's the tax base addition here?
Well, they're looking at a property of 200,000, so.
Do you think that's gonna be a tax value?
Yeah, I would think so.
Minimal, but
that-
I would think
No,
about it.
Probably,
120,
Maybe,
Really?
depending on what.
yeah, I mean, it's gonna be looking at, I mean, it's gonna be looking at comps, and again, I mean, this is a developing neighborhood, but it's not quite there yet.
Okay.
What's the
But-
square- I'm sorry.
The total square footage would be between 2,300 and 25. The building footprint itself is 1,100, but we have the below level and the above level that will be finished.
That's finished square foot, 23 to 25.
Again, super preliminary, these will be finalized a little later.
So the present loan, 200,000.
No, I'm, in terms of putting the 200,000 in, it'll probably come out about 150. I would say maybe tops, given just, again, the neighborhood, given where it's at. There's not a lot of homes this size in that neighborhood.
It'd be very unique for this neighborhood.
So comps are gonna be a little bit difficult.
Wow.
But with that, again, in terms of how assessor looks at, use and income, that could play a role in where, if it's built and permitted to have these number of bedrooms and could be used in that type of function, that has some value to it as well. But you know, in any regard, I think, you know, we're gonna be well above, at least double the 51,000 that it was
Right.
before.
Well, in this, we haven't had a lot of interest in this lot. So
Right.
really to do to do a planning option to hold it up and work on some project at the site, I think would be
I
a
just
good idea.
don't want us or the developer to go in blind, you know, with
Well, I fully expect we're gonna be working with the developer.
Right, I think that's part of the reason
Project,
too
so-
for
Absolutely.
a hold is that, I mean, you're not gonna turn around and flip this for $200,000, so, I mean, you are gonna need to hold it for a
Right.
while, just to, you know, recoup some of those costs.
Ken's career is on the line here.
Yeah.
Return for business. Are you planning on building a garage?
A one-car garage.
A one-car garage?
Yeah, just enough room in the driveway for potentially 5 cars, but only a one-car garage.
Any other questions of Marissa? If not, I entertain a motion to regular order business. Harry, want me to motion regular order business, and Tom is second? So, all those in favor, saying aye?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we are back to.
I'll make a motion that we approve the
I'm sorry, Joe.
planning option then with a 60-day planning option with Give It Adventure for 1915 Harold Street, parcel 21-2165.
Before you do that, Joe said a
Thanks.
question.
So, look, I'm the alderman in the area for another week. And I won't be here to vote on this project when it comes back to it, but I would just like to say that I'm very much opposed to it. We spent a lot of money in the last 10 years on that specific street, lowering density, tearing houses down. Habitat for Humanity put a house up. This was a very, very difficult property with a difficult landlord that had a revolving door with tenants that came through. Even once that property was gone 2 years ago, we did a street walk with the police department and their inspections department, went door to door, talking about concerns, and a lot of the concerns were still based on density. The one end of Harold Street near Kennedy Park is high density, multifamily with 10, 12 unit buildings. The other end of Harold Street is chopped up multifamily, upper lower duplexes. Some pretty well kept and some not so well kept, where there's also inspection issues and pretty good reports. This is on the 1900 block, and we have a couple of very bad problem properties on the 1800 block, so we're not too far from that. I know the neighbors would be very much opposed to this in my conversations with them. But I guess the point of this too is using the money for the new homes in your neighborhood. I mean, the point of that was really to encourage home ownership and bring stability into neighborhoods that needed to lift up. If this is a project that passes, I wouldn't want to see those funds be utilized for a project where you're going to have a revolving door of residents again. The other part of this is going to be on the desirability to the college students. Now, they may be expressing interest in it right now, and they may want out of it as quickly as they can. This is not close to any bike trails. There is a park down on the one end, but I mean, it's not even really a comfortable walking distance to University Avenue, where your closest retail and restaurants and anything are. And this is dropped in the middle of a 100% residential area. I mean, there's nothing around there for students. I think that there's a lot of arguments that can be made against it. I would love to see this project happen closer to University Avenue, where we actually have the University Avenue development plan. And I would love to work with this specific developer to say, look, if we can get something on University, maybe we can help secure a property there, because there are plenty of properties and vacant, areas that need a lift on University. I also think that the tie-in on University Avenue would be much better to the actual college than, dropping something like this in the middle of a residential neighborhood where there is nothing else like this anywhere around it. So, look, I mean, I don't mind moving the planning option forward. I think these are things that we need to think about and concern, and I'll support it today so that you can do your legwork on it. But I just think you really need to consider what the neighbors have been through over in that area in the last 10 years and what their thought is going to be about having this project come in.
What would you like to see on 1915 Harold Street?
Well, we had was it Culbertson Construction came in, and they had an option on this last year. And they had the issue with the floodplain, because the footprint that they wanted to drop in, when they put the garage in, it was too close, or it was overlapping with the floodplain. And so it became cost prohibitive to bring in the fill and to build it up. So they actually backed out on a, I think that was a 3-bedroom, 2-bed, or a 3-bed, 2-bath Cape Cod style with kind of basically the same kind of footprint. I'm not sure, but that was 3 beds. We're squeezing 5 into this one. I don't know.
Sure, how long has the property been vacant?
Well, we demolished it in 2016, so a couple, but it was a problem property for a lot longer than that. Yeah, I completely understand where Alderman Moore's coming from on this. And I wonder if, would you be opposed to it if it were a 2-bedroom? 1 bath?
Look, I mean, I don't mind moving forward and letting the developers
You know what I'm
say,
saying?
okay, we have
It's smaller.
this option and we can
Right.
see if this is even going to work for us.
Mhm.
I would encourage you to talk to neighbors. I mean, it's really important over there to be a good neighbor, it really is.
I like the concept. I mean, if you'd be okay of moving it forward, we can work, I think, with the developer, either for a different site, like you had talked about on University, or maybe a different configuration here on the site so it isn't so dense.
I mean, I understand exactly what Alderman Moore is saying and concur. He certainly knows that district a lot better. My concern, and again, preface it by saying I think we need to move forward with the planning option. But are we changing our mission here with an investor property instead of transitioning that property to home ownership? And again, something I think we.
I think the intent with what they're looking at is trying to keep those UWGB students here, so they invest in the community here, so they become homeowners in Green Bay here versus leaving and going in other communities and going elsewhere. I don't want to speak for them.
Certainly a noble mission, but I'm not sure that's the mission of us, of this body. But yeah, great, but I'm not sure that's our mission.
Right. And I agree, that is a great mission, you know, retention of the students from an employer perspective, absolutely, if we can keep them in our area. But we can do that from a variety of housing, right, projects we talked about earlier today, certainly. Opportunities there as well. I think I probably got a little queasy when I heard 5 cars sitting in the driveway, right? Those sort of things in the residential neighborhood start to, you know, noble mission to be net zero energy home, and then 5 cars sitting in the driveway seems to be this juxtaposition. So I agree too. I think it's something we can certainly continue to look at. I think, you know, when you get new things like this, sometimes it takes us a while to digest, and again, you know, interesting look at it, but again, like you said, is it what our intent is and with these funds from single-family home ownership?
All right. So we have flushed this one out a little bit more.
I think we should move forward with it.
Yeah, so the recommendation's been made.
I would
Harry
second
made the motion.
the motion that Harry made to move this forward. I just want to make sure that I express my concerns and the developer know as well that these will be concerns that come up throughout this process.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joel, good comments. So we have a motion, a second.
So sorry.
And we also have a phone. No.
Such a beautiful
That was
motion.
a beautiful vote.
That's what happens.
That's
I'm
the
thinking still in
motion.
Naples.
You got fired from the party.
Yeah, right.
I'm quitting.
That's it, last meeting.
So motion and a second, Harry and Joe. And with Joe made some excellent comments, which everybody heard, and documented. All those in favor, see by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so carried. Number 8, consideration of possible action to purchase real estate at 401 Broadway, tax parcel P-568 for $20,000 using neighborhood enhancement funds.
All right.
Who we got?
How you doing, Matt? Net Matt.
I made those this morning.
Krista, do we have a map in the
The map's in the packet.
It's in the packet?
Yeah.
All right, so we're looking on at the southeast corner of Arlington Broadway. This is about a little more than a half-acre vacant parcel that's owned by WPS. Based on previous conversations with RDA, we'd included this parcel in our overall conceptual development plan for the shipyard project. So we'd like to go ahead and move forward with purchasing this site for $20,000 using neighborhood enhancement funds. The plan would be to reimburse neighborhood enhancement if the shipyard project moves forward with proceeds from that project.
So is it a pie-shaped parcel?
Yep, the pie-shaped parcel.
Oh, here it is, the type. This, is that it?
Sounds like there's a critical parcel in our plan.
I make a motion to approve that.
Second.
Motion made by Joel, second by Jim.
Jim?
All those in favor, say saying aye.
Aye.
So, opposed, so carried. Thank you. Yeah, that's fine. We beat these property. Number 9. Consideration of possible action on the sale of 435 Newhall Street.
Kevin King's gonna be in there?
Evan?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is a home that we acquired on tax foreclosure through the county tax foreclosure process. You have pictures in your packet, I believe, that it was pretty distressed when we bought it. It's a 2-family with an attached garage. We wrote specs for the remodel of the home, put it out for bid last summer. It was remodeled, and we found a buyer this spring who's interested, made an offer, and that offer fits right in the range that we thought it would sell in. So it's a cute little house.
Did you say 2-family or 2-bedroom?
2 bedrooms.
Is that garage attached with access?
Yes. Yes, actually, the garage was kind of a...
Afterthought.
No, it was, we were gonna remodel it with the garage attached, but once the building inspectors got a look at it, they said this does not have a foundation, so we had to demolish and put a foundation. So now it's up to code and beautiful. It's got original hardwood, all the original woodwork was in there and beautiful. The only changes we really made to the house was upgrade the kitchen, and a lot of older homes have, closet doors that are one door and the closet's real deep.
Yeah.
We opened up one wall and put 2 swinging doors in there. And that was really the only modifications we made.
So are these before or after?
These are
Before or after pictures?
These are after.
pictures. right?
Those are after, I don't know if you have
And
to.
I apologize, I didn't get them in the PowerPoint.
Yeah, it was pretty trashed inside, it was full of garbage. It was one of those.
That tile in the bathroom original?
Yes.
Yeah, that looks cool.
It's very cool. I demanded we keep that.
Yeah, good job, Kevin.
Thanks, Tom.
And
You're a man of great taste.
owner residence,
Once in a
right?
while.
Yeah.
Yes, it's gonna be owner occupied, single mom, student. So,
And a shout out to Billy Joe Horsons for bringing us by it.
Hey, Billy Joel.
Billy Joe. It's not Billy Joe or something, is it? No.
It's nice when you have a particular buyer you
She's
need to
living
sell
on the
to.
river.
I'll make a motion that we approve the offer to purchase in the amount of $85,000, pending verification of HUD eligibility requirements.
oh, by the way, she is, I finalized that this
Okay.
morning.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Second that motion then.
He really beat you.
That's okay.
Oh,
Billy
no,
beat you.
I'm sorry.
Give me something here.
Okay, a motion by Matt, second by Melody.
This last meeting.
All those in favor, yeah. All those in favor, say
We got one more,
She
so.
couldn't be happier.
Opposed, so carried. Number 10.
Got one more action.
Consideration of possible action for sale of Bay Lake Bank property at 310 North Washington Street, parcel 12-86-1.
All right, so this is, it's been referred to before as the tchotchke corner. I don't know if it's a public thing. I'll let it out here. So this is our parcel that is a part of the Bay Lake building. This is the northwest corner. And this is an area, we talked about this in November. Yep,
It's at
so
the
this is where
northwest
the
building.
piece of art is proposed to go outside on the corner, but then in the building itself is actually a small footprint that belongs to the RDA along with a strip of land. And we went through, the condo association approached us about purchasing that piece of land. And the direction that was provided in the November meeting was, well, we'd like to hold on to that piece of property long-term, and can we figure out a way to lease it back to the condo association, who then could use it for what they wanted, or sublease it or some other things involved. So I've been working with the condo association and really kind of digging into, okay, well, what would be the path to make that happen? It's not impossible, but it's complicated. And so with that, I put some language, the closed session language on here, because I think I'd like to discuss like our strategy for what that might entail, and what that might cost, and in terms of, I think we need to decide as a body what would be the best option for us moving forward with that parcel, and if doing so per the original intent is the best option, or if there's other alternatives on the table. I think that would be appropriate to discuss our path forward, but do so because I think if we end up leasing or selling, we need to negotiate, what those rates or that price is going to be. So with that, I think I can talk through some of those things and kind of where we're at and where we might want to go, but I would recommend at this time doing that in a closed session.
Yes, Tom?
Then a motion. The authority may convene in closed session pursuant to section 1985 I-1E, Wisconsin statutes, for the purpose of deliberating or negotiating the sale of public properties, investing in public funds, or conducting other specified public business as necessary for competitive or bargaining reasons. The authority may thereafter reconvene in open session pursuant to section 1985-2 Wisconsin statutes to report the results of the closed session and consider the balance of the agenda.
Yeah, I'd like to have a motion and a second to go in closed session, then we'll do roll call.
Yep.
That was the
That's the
motion, this is
motion.
second.
Okay. And the motion. Okay,
Yep,
I'm
that's the
sorry.
motion, this is second.
You got that,
Oh.
Melanie? Okay. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
You gotta call roll.
Yeah, you call roll. I'm sorry, call roll.
So I'm just looking at, because this is probably like the worst room for closed session with the huge glass door right there. I'm thinking if we do a closed session, I was just looking up to see if room 210 is available, that we may
Oh, we may
leave
relocate.
the room. That way the audience doesn't have
Sure.
to move. But I'll read off the names while we do that. So, go into closed session. Harry Meyer.
Yes.
Gary Delvo.
Yes.
Jim Blumberg.
Aye.
Joe Moore.
Yes.
Melanie Parma.
Yes.
Matt Schuler.
Yes.
Tom Weber.
Yes.
All right, so we are in closed session. If you want to pause it, I'm just going to see, share everything.
Make a motion to return regular order.
Second that?
Jim and Melody, go back to regular order of business?
So roll call, Harry Meyer.
Yep.
Gary Delvo.
Yes.
Jim Blumreich.
Yes.
Alderman Joe Moore.
Yes.
Melanie Parma.
Yes.
Matt Schuler.
Yes.
Tom Weber.
Yes.
Okay, in closed session, we talked with staff about the potential of what we should do with that Bay Lake property, 310 North Washington, tax parcel 12-86-1, and we are ready to make a motion in regard to that property.
And I will make the motion to direct staff to negotiate the sale of the property that is tax parcel 12-86-1.
And that'll come back, any negotiations, we'll come back to.
Correct.
Right
So
here.
we will work with the condo association in terms of negotiating the sale. Those final documents then would come back to RDA for approval.
Okay, there's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Harry seconded. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, so carried. Thank you. Informational. Oh,
So,
yes.
The check register and the financial report are now in the informational, they're not in.
Okay.
And I think we talked about the appropriate action for those is to make a motion to receive and place on file for all informational items. Just to- That we acknowledge them and are disposing of them.
I'll make final motion.
I would love to second his final motion.
Okay, motion, second, Tom and Matt, to place on the
Matt.
file.
We all would like to.
All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So carried. Kevin, what's happening?
All right, so you get a chance to make one more motion because you can put my report also to receive and place. So I just wanted to, as part of this, thank Alderman Moore, thank Mr. Weber for your service to this committee. In my time here, this has been a lot of fun working with you guys. I just really respect where you're coming from. You, I feel, have always treated me and our whole staff with respect. We don't always agree on the issues, but I think we really talk through them, and I really appreciate your level of professionalism. This board is really awesome to work with, and it's going to be very hard to replace you guys. So, as I said before, I think the mayor has big shoes to fill, and getting somebody of your quality and caliber up here. So, I wish you well in both of your retirements, if you will.
And the rest of you are gonna have to step up, because you're gonna grill us on
Right,
real estate
right,
stuff,
right,
right?
right.
Well, Kevin, I'd like to make just a little addition to
Sure.
that, because I've been on this board since 1993. I was named by the late Mayor Sam Hallowen, Paul Jade, now Jim. But I have said a number of times out in the community that I feel that the RDA membership that we have today is the best in all those years. And we've got so much talent here and diversity, and it's just been great. And I know that I appreciate the fact that we had such a strong membership, and I think we're one of the best groups in the city as far as I'm concerned.
Excellent.
Yes, I would agree.
And we also have
So,
this leader.
thank you. As far as just some project updates, a few things. I know we talked about a parcel today for the shipyard. I will probably have Lisa reach out to you. We may be looking at potentially a special meeting to talk about the shipyard. You gave us a charge for 90 days to come back and look at some things, so we have been working a lot, and we think we're getting close to the point of being able to have something to bring back to you. So if not at the next May meeting, perhaps something before, in order to really get this project up and moving. I think if we're ready to go, we'd like to bring it to you for some thoughts and considerations on that. With that, some other just big projects going on. Hotel Northland continues to move along. We were just over there today, and everything does still seem to be on target for finishing out the build-out this summer, with the anticipated opening date of September still. So there's one more piece to go through in terms of a big piece to go through in terms of the courts, in terms of the sale of the property, or the auction of the property, I guess, depending on semantics. But that should be completed by the end of this month, which means then the new owner could close and take ownership starting in June, which then kind of puts the pieces together to do the FF&E and then finalize that piece. But we're just excited, and I know you probably are too, that, long road with that is continuing to move along at the pace anticipated.
Very good.
Other than that, Whitney School, we'll be moving along, going to council next week. And then we're also, continuing to just an update, working with the rail yard and some of the infrastructure improvements, working to make sure, they're working on designing the infrastructure to get that rolling later this year, or hopefully this spring. Again, with their additional renovations, working on the northern buildings. And I also got a lot of questions about the JBS site, the Packer Line Packing. What's going on there. They ended up finding more asbestos than they anticipated, which false ceilings and other things like that. So once that's all taken care of, you'll start to see those buildings coming down later this spring, and some additional new construction as well. So a lot of stuff going on. We've got a few things in the cooker and the queue, so I think we're going to have a productive year. But I'd be happy to answer any questions if there's anything specific. East Town Mall, yes. So we are still working with the developers out there in terms of putting the right tenant pieces together. They have a few options, and again, it's kind of a juggling act of, okay, well, once you have one, to line up the rest, and some have like non-competes, and some have, okay, well, if I'm here, I don't want this type of retailer to be here.
Right.
But they do have, I think, two pieces. One, the assessment case that was outstanding did get settled. So just made an amendment to the development agreement just to specify, all right, here's where it got settled at. So that number that the court said, here's where the number was, which ended up being about, what, 4-point-something million for the assessment?
I don't remember.
Okay. It was, but I mean, it wasn't the 3.5 and it wasn't the 7, it was in between.
Okay.
So that's gonna be the base value. But with that, it's only the base value for 2017. So starting in basically 2018 taxes, it's still gonna hold true to the development agreement where they're going to pay the 7 point whatever million. So in terms of even with those tenants, I mean, those guarantees are in there in terms of those, I guess, obligations to pay property taxes and a certain level of assessment. But we've been working with them, and look, you know, the retail world is
Yes.
very tough, but they feel confident that they can, hopefully in the next few months, bring together a package that, and make a splash of, all right, here's how we're going to plan to move forward with the tenants that are out there.
The monastery, St. Mary the Angels.
Yes, so not quite our project, but the Friar House Flats,
Yeah, Friar House.
they did get awarded, we did put some funding into that. I forgot about that, 100,000 of home funds. That did get awarded the state LIHTC credits.
What did?
Yes, so
That's a close call, wasn't it?
it was. So 2 projects from the city that were on there. It was TWG's Broadway Lofts project, and they were basically like the first one out. They missed the cut by like 3 points. You know, very close. But the Friar House Flats, did get awarded the credits, so they're working on their numbers right now to put together, you know, finalizing the site plan and construction documents, hopefully to move forward on that this year with construction. But no, I think that's a very good project in terms of, again, adding a great mix to that neighborhood and, again, preserving another, you know, kind of like Whitney School, it's a good balance of you preserve a historic building, put it to good use, and then, you know, add some additional units in there as well.
Okay. Any questions, guys?
So if you want to make a motion to
Brian's
receive and
last
place
day,
this
too.
on file.
Brian's last day.
Oh,
I'm
that's
gonna-
Oh,
right.
yes.
Brian, tell us about that. We missed you.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
I told Harry and Gary, but Chelsea Koken from our office is going to take over as the representative for on Broadway here, just to avoid
The conflicts.
with my new role, so.
We always liked her better.
Yeah, well, I don't blame you. I look at myself in the mirror every morning and think, why?
It only gets worse.
All right, motion to place Kevin.
Yeah, I'm gonna make that motion as my, unless does Joe wanna make his final motion?
How about motion and a second?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
JT.
Okay, you second it, Joe. Just be ready. Come on, jump up on it.
I want to vote
I'm
against
gonna
it.
make my motion to what was that?
I want to vote against it.
I knew it. I'm gonna make a motion to receive and place on file the director's report and project updates.
Matt, second.
I'll second it.
All right.
Thanks,
Motion
man.
a second. Sure you know what, Joe? You know what?
Just gotta call a vote.
Okay.
That's all we gotta do.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Let's hear it.
No,
Anyone opposed?
2 no's.
Couple of no's, but enough yeses.
Let's drag this thing out for another hour.
Um,
Jeff, you got a deadline?
And
As
then,
Harry would say,
Yes.
the chair rules.
So for next meeting date, like I said,
Text
it's,
today.
these will be on the agendas, just so we keep track. As I said, Lisa may reach out to you for if we need a special meeting before then, just to
Good.
align schedules.
I'd like these reports by Lisa on the home and CDBG. Yeah, you didn't always give it that, I like that, thank you.
And then we do need a motion in a second and a vote
Officially?
on adjournment, yes, we
Okay,
do.
okay, we
yes.
go, we're gonna change our style a little bit.
Yep, sorry, we're
gonna
mixing
change
it
our
up
style.
just a little.
A motion and a second, Joe, come on.
I thought we voted already.
No, to adjourn now.
Oh,
Yeah, Harry, he doesn't just slam the gavel.
No, no.
Yes.
So Harry made a motion and Joe second to adjourn, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned, thank you. And Tom's buying beverages.
What?
Jim wouldn't have his,
Tom, let me go pick my daughter up. She
Don't
needs
say
a
Brian.
caramel.
Thank you.
Well done.
Well, she can come in.
Waiting was easy.
Oh, back congratulations.
We gave her a couple of orders. tell her to
Somebody asked me
get
about
or
it.
something.
I hadn't heard anything. Usually it's in the spring, always.
Didn't make any sense. Sure.
Just the way it is.